Hello and welcome everyone to episode 68 of Video Game Club. As always, I am your host, Tyler, and I have with me today Mr. Iron Mask, Austin.
Hello.
Hello. And it would not be a Video Game Club episode without the Kasara of Video Game Club, Mox.
Oh my goodness. You guys just really love her. I'm just really... I'm chuffed. Thank you.
Kasara's great. Mox, how you been?
I have been scared because I've been playing Paranormicite that you told me to play.
I highly suggested it, yeah.
Gosh, I know I've read that it is like top heavy in terms of its horror jump scare bit, but it is quite spooky. So I'm scared. That's how
Do you feel like it is... Like, I think I suggested because I heard it was similar to 999. Do you feel like it has a similar, I don't know, gameplay or vibe to it, I guess?
Well, I do think it's more of a visual novel with the same themes and, like, ideas of 999, which I don't mind. I'm a visual novel fan as much as I am a puzzle game fan. The less I have to play a game, the more I love that game. So I like them both for that reason. But it is definitely like not 999 where you have to sit and really think about these like math puzzles that, gosh, it's been so long since I've done any algebra.
Yeah.
But it's definitely scarier.
Aw, have you been playing anything else?
What have I been playing?
What about the Forgotten City? Did you finish that or?
Yes. Well, my sister and I need to get the last ending, but we got the best ending, and it was very cute. It was... You know, in those like old point and click adventure games where they use their own, character models and figure it out on their own. It has like the jankiness of that, but it has a really cute ending. I really enjoyed that game. I highly recommend it.
Okay, nice. You enjoy it so far? You feel like it's a very good game so far?
What, Paranormicite?
No, the other one, Forgotten City.
Yes, it's excellent. Yeah, it has it like you have to like those point and click adventure games for their jank, and then you enjoy it because of that, and then the little bits that it does to subvert the jankiness, it is very enjoyable. But I don't think if someone wants to go into a game and be like, this is a AAA title, it doesn't have full 4K, we got to get the better graphics here, then like no, you won't enjoy it. But if you don't mind that, or you like those kinds of janky old games, then you'll love it.
Nice. That was recommended to me on a podcast I was listening to called Axe of the Blood God. It's like an RPG podcast. They were, I don't know, comparing that game to 999, so I had to recommend it to you.
Paranormicite?
Yeah, Paranormicite, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're
jumping around. That game is so spooky. It has you put in a name like for the I can't, like whatever the Greek tragedy, person that's outside of the play that's talking to the audience members and saying like, here's the play. Or, oh gosh, what was her name in Catherine, the woman who was outside of the TV?
Oh, right.
I can't remember her name now.
Yeah, but I know who you're talking about.
Midnight Venus, something like that. That guy asked me my name and I gave a name. And then he asked me, oh, are you, and then told me my Steam profile name. And I said, well, no, I didn't say that name. And he's like, oh, my mistake. And I'm not sure how that's going to come back into the game. And I'm scared.
Spooky. Austin, what have you been playing besides Tales of Arise? Anything?
Mainly Tales of Arise.
You love it that much? Wow.
During downtimes of that, I've been also playing Picross E8. Because I can just like a lot of times during cutscenes, nothing visual will be happening, so I can just kind of listen while I do something else. So a lot of Picross E8. Slowly working through the new season of Halo, and finally resumed Resident Evil 5 with you.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know Resident Evil. Has Resident Evil always been co-op?
5 and 6 are.
Yeah, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. In terms of mainline games. Yeah.
I have been still working on Portal 2. I'm pretty close. I'll probably finish that before the next Video Game Club.
Hey, that's great. You want to play it co-op?
No. I'm trying to play through the single player. Please leave me alone. And then I've been playing the RE4 remake, but I got kind of far, and then I was like, I'm gonna go back to RE2 remake. So I've been playing more of RE2 remake, and I just hit the spot where I'm outside in the rain, and I went into this gun shop. That is where I'm at right now. I don't know how far that is or anything, but I've definitely made some progress, and I have been super scared.
That sounds incredibly scary.
It is extremely scary because this thing stalks you, and
Mr. X.
And it prevents you from, like, it makes doing the puzzles that much harder because it's stalking you, and then, oh no, it's in the room that you're in, so you have to, like, shoot it and then run away and hope that it just, like, gets lost, and then you go back to the puzzle room, etc. Anyway.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. And then I've been playing the Tomb Raider reboot on my Steam Deck for no reason at all. I just turned it on and then I started playing it, and I just keep playing it every night.
It's a great game.
I just wish so much that you would finish your games before you start a new one.
Well,
you're giving Mox anxiety.
I am. No.
Was this your first time playing Tomb Raider reboot?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. How do you like it so far?
It's very good so far. It feels like I've played Uncharted, which is, you could argue like Uncharted was influenced by, I guess, the original Tomb Raider, but this game feels like it was influenced a bit by Uncharted as well. For
sure.
Yeah. So it has kind of like that Uncharted feel to it. But I do like it so far. The puzzles have been really fun, especially like the timing ones with like the wind and stuff. And I feel like I'm making pretty decent progress, and I like how you can freely choose how to upgrade your weapons and your skills so far. Yeah,
it's got good combat, and it's an interesting story.
Yeah,
in terms of
the story's good so far.
With Lara Croft.
Yeah. Apparently it has a multiplayer concept like mode in it. I will not play that, but yeah. If I get through this and I like it, I might do Rise of the Tomb Raider next, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Might be pretty fun. Before we get started, just as a reminder, this is a video game club where usually every 2 weeks we discuss a game voted on by our wonderful friends in the Bombchu Discord and discuss that game right here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. And if you can't catch us live, don't worry. You can find it on YouTube, all major podcast services. And if you appreciate what you're hearing, please consider subscribing, rating, commenting, all those things. And if you want to nominate something, we have a channel in Discord where you can do that. And I think the nominations pick, like the community pick, is coming up, right? I think. Yep. I did too.
I don't know if it's the next one or it's the one after.
Yeah, it's either the next one or the one after. Yeah.
We'll have to look.
Yep. The nominations for this episode were suggested by Mox, and they were Tales of Symphonia Remastered, Tales of Berseria, and Tales of Arise. So we were playing a Tales game, guaranteed. and the winner was Tales of Arise. So Tales of Arise is a third-person action RPG developed by Bandai Namco Studios, published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. It was released September 10th, 2021 on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. 2021, we had the Switch OLED, the Analog Pocket, the Steam Deck, and the Playdate both were supposed to launch but did not. Software, we had Yakuza Like a Dragon, Resident Evil Village, Returnal, Skyward Sword HD, Far Cry 6, many, many more, including 5 games we played for Video Game Club already.
5? Jeez Louise.
Okay. Is Death's Door one of them?
Yes, Death's Door.
Okay.
Yep.
Metroid Dread,
yep. Inscription.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, that was 2021.
Yeah. Grow.
Oh.
And Scarlet Nexus, I think, was also 2021.
When was Beacon Pines?
That was last year.
That was last year, 2022.
Yeah.
When's that content coming out? Beacon Pines devs?
I'm
Come
waiting
on.
for you to tell me.
I'm waiting on the edge of my seat here. We're not going to talk about the release and reception. We'll save that for part 2. So we'll just jump right into the gameplay and the discussion about the gameplay, visuals, audio, controls and interface, performance, and story. starting with the gameplay. So I already mentioned it's a third-person action RPG. There's an overworld, which features a lot of exploring and picking up little collectibles. You control one character initially, with your party growing quite a bit of growth there from in the first half so far. Each character has different weapons and abilities. Enemies are shown in the overworld, and then when you encounter them, you start this like arena real-time battle similar to almost like Ni no Kuni, or I guess Scarlet Nexus. Didn't it have some of that?
You don't jump into the
you're
battle.
Right.
It's already
it's
kind
already
of in the
there.
same zone.
Yeah.
I mean, like Pokemon.
Yeah, like,
running,
exactly.
Like,
except you can see them, but yeah. And combat has a big focus on evading and countering in this game. Mox, what do you think about the gameplay of Tales of Arise? I know you beat it once, but if you can try to think of how it is so far in this first part, how do you feel?
Well, I like it. I like that you can run by like a lot of monsters if you juke them a little bit, kite them out of a space. They don't go very far, like from their little starting point, which is nice if you want to avoid monsters, but also, I don't know, I always want to like try and have a whole bunch of things in one battle so I can just get rid of them all at once and not have to worry about them, but they don't let you do that.
They do kind of, but they don't follow you for very long.
Yeah.
So you can like get like maybe two groups together, but yeah. You can also strategically do it to where you can like lead one of them off and pick it off by itself, which is kind of cool.
Oh, we should talk about some of the odds and ends in gameplay too. So there's fishing in this game. There's cooking. There is you can manage like a stable, or like a farm, a ranch. I think they call it a ranch. There's you can craft.
Crafting.
Yeah, you can craft items and accessories and different things. Yeah, so there's a lot of little stuff like that. Austin, what do you think about the gameplay of this game?
I like Mox, so I appreciate when there are battles that you can see the monsters before like going and touching and engaging, and I appreciate that they are generally pretty easy to avoid in most situations. Like if you're really not wanting to do combat and just like, I want to go grab items, or I want to explore a little bit, or I want to make it to the next objective. That's nice, especially because in the first two chapters, or the first two regions, combat is like extremely unrewarding. I don't think I got a level up during either of those regions from regular combat. Like I think I only leveled up after fighting like the main boss, and I was fighting lots of stuff trying to get like skill points. But
you do get skill points.
Yeah,
you do. But it's like a lot of it was not a very good reward to time investment ratio.
We should dive in a little into skill points because I left that out. Yeah. So skill points, each character has their own pool that they earn evenly in battle, but they each have their own pool that you choose to invest. And the skill tree is interesting in that there's these like circles, right, that have like 5 skills, I want to say, or 5 little upgrades. They're not all active
you get,
skills.
Like, for free.
Yeah. And if you do all of them in that specific circle, you get like a little bonus, like plus 10 defense or something.
They're called titles.
Oh, they're called titles. Okay. Yeah. A title. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, the gameplay for me, so when I started playing this, I was doing a lot of the combat myself, and I then turned it on auto because I noticed that the other characters, when I wasn't controlling them, they were able to use more moves than I could use. Did you guys notice that at all?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You get
it's
access
based on
to all their moves.
The fact that when you control them, you can only press as many buttons are on your controller, and then when you don't control them, you just toggle on and off moves.
Yeah. But the thing is, you don't get access to that many moves until like 15 hours in to be able to toggle, which is kind of not cool.
Yeah.
And that is something I do not like about the gameplay of this game.
But you only need, six. You only have a few buttons. What do you need all the moves for?
So,
but like they artificially limit you to 4 for a long chunk of the game, and then they suddenly go, "Oh, well, because you've been playing all this time, and even though you've had all these moves for a long time, now you can push this button if you want to go to the other palette of 4, so you can have 8 total."
Right.
It's just weird that they locked you out of that for so long.
I see what you're saying.
So it made for me the combat seem really basic to where I didn't feel like I had much influence over anything. So I switched it to auto, and that got me pretty far.
Well, see, now I disagree. I really enjoy active battle, especially when you play as like the mage character, Rinwell, because she has, like, if you, for example, charge up a spell, you can like save it and then combo it with another spell, which allows you to have more than just the 4, or then if you have the expanded, the 8. So you can like stick them together. It's fun to do it actively.
Do you like how like you have to use, so each character, I don't know for sure, but has like a little basic attack that you use, like the one that's on R1. You know what I'm talking about, Mox? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't that automatic? Why do you have to spam that button? It's kind of weird.
Because you have to not do it when you want to do a move that's not on that like basic attack.
Yeah, and I would just press the button. Like, I feel like Xenoblade does that a lot better. That way of combat.
Well,
like
you want to control your people.
All right.
You have to position. Positioning is, I think, a bit less important in Xenoblade,
That's
except
fair.
just like moving to the side or the back if you have to. Otherwise, there's not like spaces that you have to get out of the way for.
Yeah, it's more about like sides and being behind. But yeah, there's not a lot of.
You have to avoid spaces. Like
they have a lot of evasion is very important, right, in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else about the gameplay? Austin, I cut you off. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you, I said it's auto. Because I appreciate all the stuff that you can do. The computer was way better at doing effective moves than I was, and I couldn't really wrap my head around how to do combos well in this, especially at a consistent level where I could keep doing that throughout a long battle, because battles do go on pretty long. Everything is kind of a damage sponge.
Yeah.
I like so all your characters have like a burst move that they can do.
Yeah. Those moves are cool.
They do something special, and it's usually it'll be to counter something in the game. So Alpha has the most basic. If the enemy doesn't have like a super defense or something like that, and they're on the ground, you can just do an attack to down them. But other people have different ones, like if somebody's casting a spell, you can have your mage stop them and steal their spell, and then they get downed for a little bit so everyone can go wail on them and do damage, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool. I also like that it lets you keep, if you have too many party members to have in the party at once, you still have a use for your other members because you can use their burst attacks during battle. So that's really cool. You don't have to use mana for special attacks, which is cool, but I think because of that, they make them very weak. Which makes them feel like really underwhelming to me.
You're talking about the
you
skills.
were kind of saying this. Yeah. And so instead, your only points that you're having to track are your cure points, which are used for healing magic, and then also like dungeon mechanics for unlocking other areas, and they get.
Yeah.
There's reasoning behind that. You basically hurt yourself or like exhaust yourself to open up a new path, and then use your cure points for that, or to save like NPCs, things like that. So that's an interesting thing. But
yeah, the game does a good job of giving you a lot of items, though, which is good.
Yes, but at one point I ran out, and you don't get money from fighting stuff, and I didn't realize that you were collecting items that are of like the only reason to have them is to sell them until I got to the second half of the game. And at some point I was like, I don't have any more money to upgrade my stuff. Like, what do? I guess I'm going to have to go sell some stuff.
And then
it
auto-sold a bunch.
Stockpile stuff.
And it was
just like, hey, do you want to sell all this stuff? And I got so much money from that. Oh, man, I felt really dumb. But the crafting is like, it's not obtrusive. It's very easy. It's just like, you can make this or you can't. You have the stuff for it or you don't. Like, you don't, and I appreciate that. I don't like crafting stuff where you have to go experiment and figure out like, well, if I do this, if I add this special thing, it has this augment, but then I'm going to use my big important ingredient. So I have to make sure I get it right the first time. And, I also appreciate that basically any new weapon or armor is just a pure upgrade instead of having to be like, well, this one has better attack, but now my defense is going to be super low, or, oh, crap. Like, everything's just a pure upgrade.
I will say some of them
have to think about it.
Some of them have elements, so you have to think like 2 steps, but that's it. It's the only thing.
I turned the difficulty to story mode because I wasn't having much fun in the combat, and it also got kind of hard for me early on. So now I don't really have to think about elements. But if you, that's cool that that's there for like if you are playing at a higher difficulty and actually want to get more thoughtful about your gear. So that's cool. That ends up working out that way.
I really like the accessories. I don't. You start off not having any, and then you find some so you can equip them. But later, then you can like construct them and then upgrade them, and then take out like certain qualities from one piece to add it to this piece you really want, and then you can create like a really high power accessory that has 5 slots of, excellent things instead of 1 slot of excellent things. And it's really rewarding to do that. And the bonuses are big.
Yeah.
I do wish, so sometimes like I'll use somebody's burst power correctly in battle, and then I need to use it again, and they're not ready yet. And so then they're like, hey, that's what I'm here for. Use my burst power. I'm like, you're on recharge. I can't use your burst power. Stop telling me that. That makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong. But
maybe you are.
I mean, basically, in terms of the skill grid, all I prioritize are things that increase burst gauges, so that I will have access to those. And I still have lots of moments where I need it again and I don't have it.
Yeah,
but
sometimes though, there's like one of the character's abilities uses the like vines basically to keep so that a enemy can stop like evading you so quickly.
Yep.
And sometimes there's like 3 of those enemies. So like of course you have to do one at a time, right? You can't do all at once.
I do like that it gives them a long-term, like you can see on their feet, they have vines on them and stuff like that, and it like affects them for a very long time. That's cool. I wish more of their burst gauges would do like a long-term effect. Like Law, he can break through defenses, but as soon as the enemy like stands up, it seems like their defenses are back up.
Yeah.
And I wish they were like would be down for a while so everyone could kind of prioritize that person for longer. It seems like mainly everyone else's power is intended to build up the strike gauge, which strike is it's a gauge that you can build up like if you keep comboing an enemy properly, and like the lower their health gets, the easier it gets to build the gauge. If it fills up, you push a button, you one-hit kill the enemy. Mostly. If it's a boss, then you can't build that gauge, and you have to do that twice, like once usually at half health, once at the end, and it doesn't like serve a function.
Yeah.
It just blocks you from doing damage in the next part until you've done that strike. It's weird. I don't know why you have to do strikes on enemies and
it's
on
cool.
bosses.
Because it's cool.
And even when bosses come back as regular enemies, that mechanic stays for them, which really bothers me. Because it makes them take forever to kill. But anyways,
it's because it's cool. Mox, anything else to add about the gameplay?
No, but it can come up later if I think about it, right?
So, yeah, of course. All right. So visually, this game has a very nice anime style. I will say one thing that I didn't like about the visuals is that it's not about the visuals itself, but it's about like showing off the visuals. The first 2 areas I feel like didn't do a good job of showing how beautiful the game can be.
Agreed.
But once you get into the forest, or like, you know, the more earthy type place, then in that city as well, it was gorgeous. It was like super pretty. But starting off in this cavern lava area and then going straight to like Ice World wasn't, I feel like, the best to show off the visuals of this game. It didn't make a good first impression.
I did not mind Ice World that much, but man, that starting area is ugly.
Yeah, very
and
brown.
I guess it's like story-wise, it's supposed to be a very depressing place,
True,
but
true.
also like, man, I starting out there, I was just like, this game ugly as hell.
Mox, what did you think?
I really don't. I wish they didn't have us start in that awful starting area and also spend so much time there. I mean, it's essentially a prologue, and it I can't imagine a lot of people aren't just like, gosh, this game is awful. I don't want to play it anymore, just based on that awful area.
Yeah. But something that is cool about the visuals that I know me and Mox both like is the dress up costumes that you can do.
Yes.
And not only, well, first of all, they're really fun to find because you have to find these little owls, which I forgot to mention that. That's my favorite part of this whole game is you can find these little owls and they have a little sanctuary. And it's really awesome. And then like you can unlock new like items and stuff from the sanctuary from saving the owls. And when they hoot, it's very much like a human just going like whoo. It's so
like exactly
great.
how it sounds.
I love it so much.
I missed out on one for so long because I thought it was just some NPC being a moron in the starting area because you don't have Renwell and Hootle. And so I'd be in like the main base of the first town, and there was anytime I'd stop talking to somebody, I'd hear somebody go woohoo.
They also, I think their sound is different based on what color they are. I'm pretty sure.
I haven't noticed any like patterns there, but
yeah,
I believe you.
I think so. But the outfits are really cute. I gave Shion like a hair pin thing. I don't know. I put something in her hair and it looks cool, like a clip. And now she has it permanently in all cutscenes and everything. Mox.
Not all cutscenes.
Oh yeah, not all cutscenes. That's true. Mox, outfits? Pretty cool.
Oh, I go hard on these outfits. Well, and they all, in the end, have like one outfit that I've decided is the best outfit, and I don't change it from there. But when you do New Game Plus, you can keep your outfits from your end game into the beginning of the game. And although they put Alphin's, a helmet on him back in most cutscenes, in some of them there is none, and he'll be talking like about having his, his little helmet on, and he doesn't have it on at all. And there are things you can put on people's heads, like on top of them, that stick to the head, that are quite enormous. Yep. And having them in cutscenes is just amazing. I can't get enough of it.
I love when games do that. Like when they actually like make the costumes show up in cutscenes because it just looks ridiculous. It can look absolutely ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah, Scarlet Nexus, love
it.
Mm-hmm. Dead Rising in general.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know if you probably want to talk about the pop-in stuff in performance, Austin, I'm assuming, not visuals.
I mean, it visually did make the game really. It detracted from the visuals for sure, but I can do that in performance.
Okay. Moving on to the audio. This soundtrack was done by Motoi Sakuraba. This is the same composer who's done the Dark Souls games.
Wow.
That fits.
I
could hear that in the opening, like the menu theme.
Golden Sun series, Mario Tennis series, Mario Golf series, Star Ocean series, and Tales. And a bunch of other stuff. But this person, like, they have done some work. And almost, like, anyone who plays any game, has heard their music, which is just crazy to think about. I assume they must have had he must work closely with, Camelot, right? I think they did Golden Sun and Mario Tennis games, like the GBA ones.
That sounds right. Yeah, you must be right.
Yeah, but... what did you think of the music, Mox?
It was pretty good. It's not something I would listen to outside of the game, but I definitely didn't hate it. I do turn down the music in the first area, but that's the only area I do that.
What about the battle theme specifically? Because you hear that one quite regularly. What did you think about the battle theme?
Now, if you said, are there more than one or just one battle theme? I would say there have to be more than one battle theme.
I don't know. To my knowledge, I only have one in my head, but there could be more than one. Is there more than one?
It feels like there are.
Okay.
There might be a different one for bosses. I don't remember, but at least like the main one. I know what you're talking about, Tyler.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't get tired of it.
That's good. That's exactly what I was trying to get at. Great. That's good. Austin, music?
The first time I got into a battle, I was just like, ooh!
Yeah. Me too.
A lot of the town music I could take or leave, but it's a good battle theme. I wish I didn't. I don't dance around to it as much as I did when I first heard it, but maybe because I've heard it so much. But yeah, it's a good battle theme.
It's a good, good battle theme to dance to by Austin. So there you go. Put that on. Throw that on the box, the collector's edition. It's
gonna be on Just Dance 2024.
Oh god.
Gosh. But yeah, music is pretty good. Controls and interface. That fast travel system, guys. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. They kind of the interface of this game for me is not great. It's one of the weaker points of the game. It's hard to find what you're looking for. For example, for me, for fast traveling, it took me forever to realize, I can just press a button that lists all the places and I don't have to navigate through the maps to fast travel.
Yeah, that took me a little time to find as well.
Yeah. Mox, what do you think about interface and controls? Did you have any issues or anything? Or
one thing I really like about it is that on the map, it will tell you a list of the areas, and then it will put symbols next to it, letting you know if there's an unfinished quest there, a quest that needs your attention, a new quest, if that's where you need to go. I really enjoy that. So I don't have to go back there and look at the map to see, is that person who's changing his clothes for Xion to judge him finally ready? No. Still no. Don't know when that will happen, but at least I don't have to keep going back.
When does that happen? When?
It's in the second half, but
gosh,
he even before he changes his clothes, it keeps showing the star there to mark that, hey, you can go visit him and talk to him and progress the quest, even though you can't.
He has 3 of them as far as I remember. And I don't even think in my final file of 65 hours did I see the end of it. I don't even remember, though. It was definitely an uninteresting quest. But at least I don't have to go back and ask him every time.
Yeah.
I'm confused on so on the interface, it shows, even though he hasn't finished changing his clothes, it still shows that you can do something with him. So in your version, because it's a
star that is not filled in. It's the star of okay, go and do the thing.
It's like a green.
But then when it has a
star
check by it, it becomes an envelope with a check by it. That means you can turn in the quest.
Yeah, I didn't know. Okay.
Oh, is the interface not doing a good job communicating to you what you need to do, Austin?
Yeah, it made me think that I could go do something there.
Yeah, the menu system too, and I'll explain the performance part about refunding my PC version, but was quite frustrating. And I was being a bit petty, I will admit that, but I was very frustrated.
Well, there's no settings menu on the main menu.
Yeah.
You can't access settings from the main menu. You have to enter the game.
Yeah.
And then in the pause menu, you can go to your settings, and even then it's laid out pretty poorly. But several times when I was trying to change targets, I would accidentally change what character I was
that's a good
selecting.
Call out. Yeah.
Because, I'm trying to use the D-pad to cycle through targets, and no, D-pad is how you change your character.
You have to press, R1 or something.
L1.
You hold L1 to, pause the action, and then it's okay, who do you want to target? Who do you want to be? But I never want to change my character in that menu. Ever. So I'm trying to change the person, and it's confusing because it doesn't do a good job showing you. I'll push the D-pad and it's okay, this target, and I'm okay, yeah, and then I'm somebody else. Wait, no, that's just who that person was targeting. No. So I've gotten more used to that, but it was confusing for a while. And then the regular menu was kind of laid out weirdly to where, like, it took me a while to figure out how to swap my party members around. Because I would do it in battle, and then they would change back. And I was like, why do they keep changing back? Oh, I have to do it from my main menu outside of battle. Where is that? And it's in like it's just in this spot called edit.
And there are 2 selections, both called party leader, in different menus that each do a different thing, but they're both called party leader. One menu where you would think it would be the party leader of the battle you're fighting. No, you just pick the party leader of the person you walk around the overworld with. And then the second one, which does not seem like it's important for battle as much, but because you have to do it like in battle or in another status menu, like that is where you pick the person that you control in battle. But that person is still called party leader.
Yeah.
Did you, speaking of auto battling from before, did anybody mess with the like logic there? How you can tell them like only heal if so and so is, is this percentage? Only use an item if you have more than 10.
I didn't find that.
Blah blah blah. Oh really?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I tried
Mods,
using it because they will like be very liberal of their use of my items.
Yes.
And I'm like, no. So at first it was leave 5. And then they would always use them instead of using cure points. And it's like, cure points are a renewable resource. Please use my items only when we don't have that. But then they still wouldn't do it. So I have to turn it to like none or just leave 10. And then I will use them manually from then on.
Mm-hmm.
Gambits remains the pinnacle of this feature.
They call it
FF12
strategies in this, I think. But yeah, from FF12, yeah.
Now, there are limitations to gambits in FF12, but I have never seen anything do it nearly as like completely as FF12 does. I mean, they give you, I don't know, it feels like 15 slots if you unlock all of the things in your
and you can prioritize them, right? Like,
well, they have an order by necessity.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very elegant system, and
you can turn them on and off. Turn them on.
They give you limits based on like how far in you are, so you can access more activators and things like that. And it's just like, oh, what a great system. I think that is just like,
that's like the definition of fix it and forget it.
Yeah.
I don't even play that game battle anymore. I don't even avoid like fights because it's just so easy to walk up to him, let go of my control stick, and
calculate
he'll figure it out.
Just calculate it out.
Because it's very satisfying to build a really good strategy and like really hone in on that, and then your rewards are you get to see that played out by itself. Like
and some convenience, right? Like some respecting of the player's time.
Even better, you can have 3 sets per character. So you can change them out for, field battles versus boss. And then the last one is like, okay, we're going to go and poach monsters for their stuff. So that's the one we use. So perfect.
So we're just going to switch to Final Fantasy 12, right?
Hey, I'm like 80 hours in that game. I don't know if you guys are going to put up with that.
Thank you for attending the Final Fantasy 12 podcast. Yeah, controls were fine, though. Like, interface we talked about. Controls were... no issues. I didn't have any issues. You guys, besides what we talked about with the selecting the enemy, the target. No?
I did have a weird thing where my character would, like, not very often, but every once in a while, my character would be targeting somebody who was behind another enemy, and after a few seconds, he would just be like, nah, I'm gonna fight this enemy instead. I was like, no, I want you to fight that enemy. Like, it didn't happen so often that it seemed like a feature. It seemed like it was, I don't know how to get there, so I'm just going to do this instead.
Yeah.
Since he was on auto.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say the Gambit system is excellent for that because I can, like, tell my stronger characters to target monsters with greater than a certain amount of HP and then leave. And then when they have been whittled down enough, they will move on to a different target so that my weaker ones can finish enemies off. This has no such AI built in, even if you play on auto. It has, like, nothing smart.
Yeah, that's true. All right, moving on to performance. Okay, so I'm going to just tell my little story. So I bought the PC version. It was on sale, and I was excited to play it. I started it a little bit on my Steam Deck, and this is when I really noticed that my Steam Deck has a fan issue. That I'm going to replace next week. So anytime the fan needs to be used, like and it needs to go fast it needs to cool things down, it makes this very loud noise. It's like a clicking sound. It is spinning, an air is going out, but it's either hitting on something
on
or
something.
the bearing's going out. It has some issue.
Goodness.
Yeah. So it's a known issue with something. Like, I'm not the first person to have this. So I'm going to replace it at Austin's house, actually, funny enough. So that'll be a fun little project. But anyway, so then I was like, okay, well, that's okay. I'll just play on my computer, no big deal. But I had problems. I have a 2-monitor setup. One is the monitor that's for Discord, basically. And it kept going to that monitor for some reason, even though it's not my primary monitor. I have no idea why it just kept going to this monitor. I could not get it to go on the other monitor. And the settings were hard to navigate. And I was just being really petty, and I was just like, I'm refunding it. I'm sick of it. And I think the fan issue kind of contributed to my frustration. But anyway, then I did buy an Xbox copy, and I will say that on Xbox, it also has an issue, which is that it does not support quick resume very well. So for those of you that don't know, the new Xboxes have this functionality where you can, if you were playing a game, you can easily jump right back into where you were. And it can have multiple games suspended like this, like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 at a time, which is really good for me because I don't, as Mox already mentioned, I don't finish my games and I play more than 2 at a time. However, with Tales of Arise, if you go to quick resume, it will work okay for a little bit, and then it freaks out and it doesn't know what to do, and it just breaks. It just closes. The other performance issue I had was that after cutscenes, and maybe this is supposed to be like this, but it was really weird. After cutscenes, I couldn't control the character for a significant amount of time. The cutscene was over, and I was ready to move, and I couldn't move until I had to wait a minute.
Were they talking to each other?
No, nothing was. There was all that was done.
What the hell?
It was weird. And then I could move finally, and then I moved, and I think it happens in this footage actually towards the end. But anyway, so I didn't have a great first impression with this game because of that. But besides that, it's been fine. So
what about how many discs is the Xbox?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yes, so the Xbox version, it comes with 2 discs, and yes, this is Year of Our Lord 2023. Well, this game came out 2021, but still, it has 2 discs. One is a key disc. One is the data disc. Which one do you think you put in to install the game? Key disc.
The data.
Duh, idiots. God. Not only that, you put the key disc in, and of course it has to download some stuff from the internet, right? And then it asks for the data disc, and then you put the key disc back in. Why? So that is my little rant on performance. But now I don't quick resume this game anymore, and ever since then I still run into the weird issue where I can't control the character for a little bit, but besides that, everything's been fine. Austin, you wanted to talk about some pop-in?
Sure. So, yeah, I played this some on Steam Deck, mostly on my desktop, because this game, it runs fine on Steam Deck, but also it just tears through the battery. I don't know why, because, it's not a bad-looking game. It just doesn't seem like a game that... I was surprised it had a PS5 and an Xbox Series version.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It seems like something that would run just fine
on
Xbox One and PS4 at full blow.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because the PC version just isn't that impressive. But I don't know. There is a lot of pop-in this game on the PC version, and it's not a setting that you can control, at least to my knowledge. I couldn't find anything in the settings to do this, but basically, this is just a normal thing in games. If something's super far away, it should have a lower detail model so that it doesn't take up a bunch of resources because it's not close to the screen. You can't see it very well. If it's done well, then as you get closer, it gets replaced with a higher detail model and it should be close enough in look that you don't really notice that it's being swapped out.
Yep.
This game, stuff will pop in like really close to the screen. Like you have to be really close, it'll change, and it's not like a subtle change. It's like getting swapped out with a different model entirely. It's very distracting, and it's I don't.
And it's mainly the enemies, right? I'm assuming.
No.
Oh, what?
It's geometry and stuff. Like it's very weird. I should record some footage and show it to you because it's really gnarly. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. There's typos in the subtitles. When I said that to Mox, she was surprised. So maybe that's just something that they never fixed on the PC version, and maybe they patched it on other versions.
I doubt it.
There will be typos in the subtitles. There was one subtitle that was just the wrong line entirely.
I do remember something like
happens.
that, but they record it later.
Sure, but it seems like after the fact, like when people point out, hey, there's typos here, or like after the game launches, you can go back and fix that.
No, they're
You
already
can do
making
an
the next
update.
Tales game. They don't care about
They
that.
can't go back.
I know. Classic.
They're still going back.
No. Yeah, they've done DLC and updates and stuff like that. So, like, I don't know why they couldn't. It's weird.
Yeah.
It seems like I've seen this in other games, and it's like, well, it's there now, so it's there permanently.
Yep.
We can't fix it now. It's like, why? I don't understand. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. The resume works very well on Steam Deck.
That's nice.
I'm sorry, it doesn't work very well on Xbox.
Must be nice.
I guess that was really it. People mentioned the watercolor aesthetic. It seems like that mainly, at least on the PC version, that seems to mainly apply to stuff that's very far away. And I think that's also kind of distracting because it's like I wish that was on everything close to me as well. But just so it's consistent. I like the anime cutscenes. Those look really pretty.
Yeah.
I wish there were more of them. They seem to show up at odd times. Like, it's like the beginning, and then they don't show up for a while, and then there's like a story moment where they do an anime cutscene, and it's like, why did they do one there? That didn't seem like a really major significant plot moment to do one, but so I don't know.
What about the skits?
They are there.
They're there.
You guys like them?
There's are a bunch of different types of cutscenes in this game, and I can't figure out why they choose to do certain types for certain scenarios. There's the anime cutscenes.
Wait, but before you go into this, Mox, PS5 version was good, right?
Oh yeah.
No
I can't
issues.
remember anything being awful in it.
Okay.
This is why they just make janky ports. You gotta buy a PS5.
Just making you buy a PS5. All right. Before you start talking about the cutscenes, Austin, I'm going to throw on the spoilers tag, not because of the cutscene part, but because I think we'll just start talking about the story so far as well right after this. So go ahead, sir.
You're turning the spoiler tag on while I talk about the cutscene issue?
Yeah. Just go ahead.
This isn't a spoiler.
Okay, fine. Okay, go ahead.
So there's like 5 or 6 different types of cutscene types. There's full anime cutscene. There's in-game pre-rendered cutscene. That's like 3D, but it's pre-rendered for some reason. There's in-game live, like actually live rendered, that you can't skip any dialogue or anything like that. Then there's in-game where you can like progress to the next dialogue if you've read what's been said. But then there's like the skit ones, like the comic book style, and then there's the side quest dialogue. You know what I'm talking about, Max?
None of. What do you mean? What side quest dialogue?
No. So like sometimes when you're talking to a person to get a side quest,
it's
right?
very little. There's like
It's
4
not
recorded
voiced.
phrases
Yeah,
or
there's
nothing.
like, I see. Things like that.
Alfred makes sure to say "damn it" when he says "damn it." You know, in the text.
Sure.
We love it when that happens.
They sometimes will do a story cutscene in that style, and it's fully voiced. It just doesn't auto-progress to the next voice line. You have to progress it yourself for some reason. And I can't figure out why that is a thing ever in this game. Like I don't know how they chose what type of cutscene to do for which scenarios, because like they don't. It's very bizarre. Anyways, I just wanted to point that out.
All right. Spoiler tag. Talking about that story so far, I did not get to the stopping point quite. So I will let you all talk about what you guys think of the story so far up into the stopping point. Before we start, though, Mox, can you explain the whole logic behind the stopping point?
The first up until this stopping point, which is nearly half of the game, there is like a very like the game has decided what point is the first half and the second half. But right before that point is a big like data dump where you're just told the story of the game. And so I have picked the stopping point just before that because, in my opinion, everything before the stopping point I selected, the story is shown to you. You see things happen, like either like one of the 6 different types of cutscene things, but like no one just stands in front of you to tell you things unless like that's what is happening right then. But then after the point I selected, the story becomes more of like someone who has knowledge stands in front of you and tells you about things that happened, past, present, future, and just tells you that they happened. And then it's like, okay, now you got to move on. And it becomes so boring. So I really enjoy the first half of the game as I've selected because the story is so much more like involved. You feel like you're part of it. You're in cutscenes and you're part of the things that are happening. But then later people just tell you this is what's happening. And then, okay, go ahead. And it's...
So, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm curious, because this topic came up during Scarlet Nexus, also made by this company. And Scarlet Nexus has a lot of spots where they tell you what's happening and they don't show you.
Yep.
But in that one, that was my gripe, and you felt the opposite. So I'm curious what was different with Scarlet Nexus versus this.
I guess you still like saw things happening in some points of Scarlet Nexus, like they were narrating something and things were happening. It was like there was less of just text appearing before you. It's not just
like all dumped in one half. I see what you mean.
Yeah. And certainly in the first half, you rarely have, you're just stood in front of someone and they tell you about stuff that's happening off screen. The Scarlet Nexus did have a bit of that, but between the two, characters, you see what's happening when they tell you it's happening, but you also see it as it's happening, but it's like, you're not there, but you can still see part of it. Although I do agree there was some of the, like, they're just telling you what's happening and not showing you. But the second half of this game has almost universally, you are told words. Someone is standing in front of you, and the only things you are seeing are them, and then the text in the subtitles, which is sometimes typoed. And that's it.
So, the story of Alphen, the Iron Mask, and Shion, and all the other characters, and where this is going so far. Mox,
should I run a summary?
You can run a quick TLDR if you want. Go ahead.
Okay, the world we're on is Dana. It is enslaved for the past 300 years by Rena, who from this, Renans are people who have special magic powers, and they enslave Danans, who are composed of astral energy, and then all of the what are they called? The oligarchs of Rena have some weird political battle where they try to fight to have the most amount of the astral energy that they collect. The 5 different realms of Dana that are ruled each by a Renan collect the astral energy from the Danans in a different way. Yeah, gosh, I'm real tired of that, especially because Final Fantasy 14, you hear umbral, astral 100,000 times, and I was waiting for them to say umbral. No, it's always astral, and then there's different types of astral, and I was very like, no, there's umbral, where is it? And then, anyway.
It's dark astral energy.
You start in the Fire Land, and you have to fight the Fire Lord, who collects his astral energy by enslaving and sometimes murdering Danans. And that's where our guy, Iron Mask, who we later get to call Alphen, is. And then Shion comes there and is like, has stolen the Master Core, which are these vessels to contain the astral energy that the Renans take from the Danans from the fire guy, and then they band together, they hate each other, they fight, and then they go and kill the Fire Lord, who's very just annoying and boring.
Yep.
Then they
Balls.
then they come upon Rinwell, who we learn is a mage, which is unheard of amongst Danins. Someone who has like the ability to control astral energy. She hates all Renans, and they go. What was the?
And boy, she won't shut up about it.
Oh, okay. We have to remember that there's resistance organizations in each of these areas that have very on-theme names. So in the first fire area, it's the Crimson Crows.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in the second area, which is like icy darkness, what is it? The Silver Swords, I think. And then we have to like go and rescue the Crimson Crows leader who was taken in by the leader of that second icy area called Slislidia, which is where Winwell's from. And then we have to go and save Law, who was brainwashed and worked for the people who are in charge of
and
that
Law
area.
is Zephyr's son. And
Law is so annoying. He's the worst character. I could very much leave him.
He does.
Yeah.
Each. I just want to point out, each region also has kind of like a different theme to the slavery that's going on there. So like in the first area, it's just very basic, like, hey, life sucks, you're a slave. It's very traditional definition of slavery. The second area, the people have been struck into so much fear that they basically will report on each other.
Yeah.
Like 1984.
Any odd thing that's going on. Yeah. And so like nobody can trust each other, and that's how like power is maintained over them, because they just kind of
don't trust each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the ultimate demonstration of that, the leader of the resistance is the Lord, the Renan Lord of the area.
Of course.
Which I was surprised.
Yeah, that was a good twist.
Oh, okay.
I was not surprised. He looked evil as hell.
Well, and in watching it a second time, they look very similar, and they don't like obscure the identity of the Lord as much as I had remembered in my first time playing it. So it seemed like it was anticipatable, but it was surprising when the first time I played it. Then they go to an area where like Renans and Danins coexist, and the leader of them is very nice and doesn't want to enslave the Renans, the Danins, but then under his nose, people are experimenting using this thing called Fruits of Helgen, which basically turns Danins just into astral energy, and then they dissolve into the Terminator, silver juice, and then they're gone. And then like the leader of that is a character that we pick up called Dohalim, and then another character who you guys just really love, Kisara and his guard.
Yeah.
They follow us, and they're like, hey, no, everything's kosher here, like let me show you. And then everything's not kosher, and then Dohalim has like a meltdown, and we have to fight him into submission, and then he's like, sorry guys, I'm back, don't worry, let's go.
I don't like screams.
Yes, and we blow that popsicle stand and move on to the next area.
Golden Dust Cats, by the way, was the rebellion there.
Wait, what was the rebellion called again?
Golden Dust Cats, I think.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I forgot. They barely figured
barely anything.
But then the next area, the Dark Wings.
Yep.
I've already driven out their Renan Lord Almidra, and then we figure out that the guy for the next area comes in, is like, no, we're not going to let this keep going on. He involves he kills her, but then meanwhile they put together a big execution before he gets there to be like, oh, we're going to kill our Renan Lord, but then in so doing, Almidra has behind the scenes orchestrated that all of them are going to die due to this fruit thing that has somehow made its way into this area, and they all turn into the weird silver Terminator stuff.
I think she was the one supplying the fruit to the previous area.
I missed that.
Because they mentioned that another lord had been Dohalim's main number one guy, who's not Kisara.
I can't remember his name. It was something boring like Sven or something.
Evil looking man who was clearly evil from the beginning. He's the one who's been kind of orchestrating all that on in that area, but he was under
Kelzalik is his name.
He had, basically because Dohalim wasn't interested, he was really offended by that, and so he started following Alamisia. Is that her name? Almidra, there we go. And she was sending the fruit in for them to do that.
Well, the scene, the animated anime cutscene for this, of all of these people being like, haha, we're gonna kill Almidra, and then like dying was very surprising to me. I was very
Yes.
stunned. It was like almost not graphic, but it was like, oh my God, like this was a genocide, like literally.
Mm.
And then all our friends can just watch in horror as all of these people just like die and they can't do anything about it. And then
Well, even her being set on fire and
Yes.
screaming, it was just like, oh my God. And then it's like the big reveal of what it actually is. And it was like, oh God. Either way, this was really messed up. Yeah.
And then the final lord, I think we've seen a couple times come in and just like slaughter everything a few times since we first saw him. I think it was in Ciclodia. And then he's here again, and then we're like, okay, I guess we have to go fight this guy. But at this time, we're kind of like learning that we should collect all of these what are they called? The little
Master Course.
Yes.
Course.
But I don't think they know at this point why they're doing it, other than if they take it from the Renans, then they can, take back.
Shion knows what she needs them all for.
Well, but I don't think she tells anybody yet.
She doesn't tell them why, but she wants them. They want freedom, so they both agree. Let's kill all the lords.
Well, she's like particularly excited about it, which of course are her friends. They're Renans. Anyway, they go to the water area. Shion is collected by the leader guy and taken to the castle, and she just is like totally broken down and sad. And the party is extremely sad that she was taken away, and everybody is despondent, and they just like walk around this like island paradise until they realize, well, okay, we can't be sad anymore. We better go get her. So we walk through, and then we go and rescue her, and then we Alphen has to fight through her sadness that she was captured, and then I think he hugs her, and then
I guess we should. A critical thing we didn't bring up. Alphen starts off with a mask that makes him not feel pain and also blocks his memory. And Shion, the love interest, you can say she's not, but she is.
She has a curse.
She has thorns, so if anyone touches her, they die or are extremely hurt. And so he can't feel pain. He takes damage, but he can't feel pain. And so at this point, his mask has come off. He can feel pain again, and that triggers this whole thing where he's a very annoying guy for a while. But he hugs her anyways. Decides to just muscle through the thorns, and that's why that's a significant moment.
Yeah.
Aw.
I couldn't care less really about Alphen. He was not an interesting character to me. And in my playthrough, he rarely wears his mask, and I forget about it.
Voiced by the same voice actor who voices Noctis in Final Fantasy 15. Little fun fact.
Wow.
Yeah. Is that the stopping point?
Yeah, they go and collect her.
And then that's it. Stop. That is it.
She has that cool black dress on.
Yeah.
See, they're always wearing the outfits I
put
picked.
it back on.
I feel bad. I missed this.
She changed into that one for story reasons, and then she changed back into a
and you're like,
one
no, go back
from earlier, and I was like, no, you're keeping the black dress.
Oh my goodness.
Gosh. All right. So that is the story so far. We're running a little bit low on time here. We're not going to go into our personal takes because we're going to save that for part 2. But if you were to give this game a score right now, what would you give it, Mox?
I really enjoy the first half. I think it is very consistent, and it has although we're not entirely sure why we're doing what we're doing, we still have the we're resisting, we're being the resistance, which has a nice driving force.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd give it an 8 or a 7. I really enjoy it.
Okay, so far 7 or 8 from Mox. Austin?
The story is fine. I'm not super into it. The combat I'm not really loving, but it's workable. It's something I can just kind of chill with and turn on auto, kind of like I was doing for Dragon Quest. There's some technical problems and polish issues. I would give it currently a 6 out of 10.
6, okay. I really like the music and the owls, and that's about all I like about this game. That's it. So, I've had a rough time. I don't think this game is for me. I don't think I will finish it. I will capture the footage for the second part. But so far, and I'll go into more detail in part 2, but for me, if I would give this a score, I would give it a 5.
The owls are really that good to you. You give a float that.
Oh yeah,
5.
I love the owls. I would love to be a voice actor for the owls. Who?
Well, you
He's
got
so
it
great.
down.
Okay, that was part 1 of Tales of Arise. Now, Mox, there is post-game content in this game, right?
I don't know. I guess I don't know what you mean by post-game.
Like after you finish the story, there's other stuff that opens up for you to do.
Is that true? Not really?
Like nothing. Well, I guess I'm looking for story. There's no story after that.
Okay.
There's like side quests and stuff that open up.
Where you can go and finish off the side quests that you haven't done. Not really.
Okay.
I mean, the post game is like
so get
go
them
and
credits.
finish everything you haven't done.
Get them credits, basically. That's the next step.
Well, I guess as much as you're willing to play.
Right. As much as you're willing to play, get them credits. Okay. That will be the end of part 2. Next episode, where we will talk about part 2, will be April 16th, 2:00 Eastern. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Twitch, listening on your podcast service, YouTube, all those things. We appreciate it so much. Again, if you can't catch the live session on Twitch, it's not a big deal because you can find it on YouTube and all major podcast services, which is how most of you are listening to this anyway. All right. Austin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And Mox, thank you for not only this nomination, but also joining us.
Thank you.
And a special thank you to Andron, working behind the scenes, doing all the editing, all the stuff that makes this to where people can watch it and listen to it. I'm Tyler, and this was Video Game Club episode 68, Tales of Arise, part 1. And we're out.